also looking at multiple laterals connecting them. We are looking at the connectivity, which should be in kind of all-weather connectivity into these areas, because if the areas we are not able to approach in difficult weather or inclement weather, that is of no use. So that is also being looked at. We are looking at inter-valley connectivity being achieved. And also in these areas, you will find that there are various issues related to the statutory clearances, whether it's a forest clearance, whether it's a land acquisition requirements. So those are also the focus areas which we are trying to overcome. And definitely we are looking at multiple procedural reforms, because if the kind of pace which is required to achieve this infrastructure development, with the current pace, it will be very difficult to bridge the gap with the PLA. And the other focus is also to not only restrict to the integral capability, also look at the capability which is existing outside in the environment. That means multiple construction agencies, which are whether they are the government construction agencies or even if they are private agencies, to achieve those constructions. Now, if I have to highlight what are the kind of infrastructure development PLA has achieved in this area, you would realize that since 2020, they have in fact given a huge impetus to the infrastructure development. And this infrastructure development spans not only to the connectivity, and also the same issues, that is whether it's airfield, whether it's helibases, or it is equipment, those strategic equipment which has to be placed in these areas. Those emplacements have also been created over a period of time. And the 14th plan, which covers the period from maybe up to 2024, will further accentuate the kind of asymmetry in this infrastructure development which is existing at the moment. And when you look at the connectivity, he's adopted a very kind of a focused approach when he has a layered security system. That means layered security architecture to respond to various situations in the tactical depth, or whether it is in the operational depth, or whether it's in the strategic depth. So to support this kind of a manifestation of the forces, there is a layered connectivity which has been created. If you look at the first layer is based on G695. So it is very close for all the tactical troops which are located there. They will manifest using that connectivity. Looking at the second layer, you have G219 and G218, and also this Ya-Ye Express way, which has come up covering a distance of almost 400 kilometers. Most of it is almost in the final stages, but I think by 2030, we expect this connectivity to also come. So there is a redundancy in the second layer itself. Look at the depth layer also based on this G317, and also which gives him the connectivity from, say, Kashgar, Hotan to coming on to Rushiang, and also maybe a laterals which are coming from the depth areas coming to the forward areas, which is G6 and G109, giving him connectivity from Golmund and coming up to Lhasa. So this kind of a network of the connectivity will ensure mobilization in a very quick time frame, manifestation of the forces for conduct of operations in an earlier time frame, and even the strategic formations which have to move from different theaters to the area opposite us will also manifest in an earlier time frame. So that is the kind of connectivity network which has been created. And in fact, even this area of the Kunlun Mountains, which poses a huge challenge for the forces to come into this area, there are multiple tunnel-based connectivity which is being created. And looking at the railways, almost about 7,700 kilometers which has been already existing. There are additional 2,000 kilometers of connectivity which is being created. And this connectivity between Hotan and Shigatse, which is almost towards the opposite area of Ladakh, which has got multiple, almost about 86 odd tunnels in this area. So that will have a dual use capability which it will provide, and give him the connectivity across this Kunlun Mountains. Airfields, 16 existing, 16 under construction, and all these 16 plus 6 are the newer airfields which are coming up are generally coming up in this area of Tarim Basin. And if you look at the Tarim Basin, there the airfields can be are at an altitude of almost about 1500 meters. So with a lesser length of runway, the aircrafts can take off from there and in fact manifest right into the areas right up to Jammu. And if you look at the areas of Tar, he has also expanded the length of the runways. So their length of the runway is going almost up to 4.5 kilometers. So which will give him the capability to take these aircrafts and take off from those altitudes as well, which are at about 4,500 meters. Heli bases, 13 were already existing, 11 are being constructed. Now it is the heli capability which will ensure the tactical depth operations, recce and surveillance capability, logistic sustenance capability is what is taken care of by construction of these heli bases. These border villages, you all must have heard about it. There are almost about 309 villages which we have identified, and almost about 71 are opposite Eastern Ladakh, and about 238 are in these areas opposite our eastern sector. So that is the kind of border villages which have come up. That is more to do with the ensuring his claims are robust, and also they do provide flexibility for maybe mobilization of forces. Forces provides billeting capability to the forces who may manifest for the conduct of the operations in these areas. So keeping this in mind, the kind of strategic guidance which we have adopted for ourselves for infrastructure development, one is the connectivity, which I mentioned, that what is the type of concept of connectivity which we will have. That means have adequate laterals, have the axials, and go right up to the passes. So that, and have the inter-valley connectivity. So that is the connectivity concept which we have adopted. We have a good mechanism for civil-military fusion, in which we have empowered committee for border infrastructure, which is referred to as ECBI. And in this ECBI is headed by Cabinet Secretary, in which DGMO of Indian Army is the member. And he represents not only Indian Army, and also takes care of the interest of the Air Force and Navy as far as the infrastructure development is concerned in this forum. And it's a very effective mechanism which is existing. Most of the decisions, coordination with the multiple agencies is undertaken under the chair of Cabinet Secretary, and which is a good forum. And as far as the under border road network action plan, we have in fact got state working groups. In all the states, all the border guarding forces are part of this state working groups. And most of them are in fact Indian Army. We have ITBP personals also part of it, and even the BSF in the IB sector, and also the border with the Bangladesh. So that is the kind of mechanism which has been created only to coordinate what is the infrastructure which is going to come up in these border areas, because there is a huge synergy which is required. It must, whatever is coming up closer to the borders must have this security kind of an implication, and therefore a synergy is required. So there is mechanism is also functioning under the MHA, and it is functioning very effectively. We have, as far as the strategic guidance is concerned, incorporation of these civil agencies, so that construction capability is not only dependent on the BRO capability, we are able to harness the capability which is existing outside. The current capability of BRO definitely requires a further boost in what they can construct today. It definitely has to go almost double paced. So to make them double paced, we have looked at a lot of, reforms within the BRO in terms of their HR, in terms of the equipment which they have to provide, they have to be provided, and also the procedural issues which they were facing till now, that is also addressed. And overall, finally, as a concept or as a strategic guidance, whatever we do must also contribute to the nation building, must rejuvenate the requirements, the tourism as well as the economic development of the border areas, which will be the manifestation of the speedy development of the infrastructure. If I have to give you the statistics in last 5 years, what we have achieved, we have in fact since 2020, almost about more than 24,000 crores of rupees has been spent on the GS roads by the BRO for construction, which has resulted in almost more than 3,500 kilometers of road either being upgraded or being newly constructed. So that is the kind of achievement we have got till now. And overall budget of the BRO, including the agency work, is almost touching 64,000 crore plus. So that is the kind of capacity which BRO has been able to do, and which has resulted in strengthening of the entire infrastructure, not only on the LAC, but also even the border with Pakistan, that is the line of control. Also, a lot of construction work has been undertaken. And if I have to give you the perspective plan up to 2028, that is commencing 2023 to 2028, almost about 370 roads which we have identified, which is, if I have to say, what is the number of kilometers? It is almost touching more than 27,000 kilometers of road, which we intend to achieve by 2028. So that is the kind of impetus we have given to infrastructure development in terms of the connectivity is concerned. If I have to highlight important roads, etc., which have come up in this time, we in Eastern Ladakh, there is a connectivity to Leh, which was earlier based on the Zojila axis and the Rohtang axis. There is an additional axis which is based on the Shinkulna tunnel is also coming up. So we will have, in fact, 3 connectivity, which will be all-weather connectivity going up to Leh. And most of the connectivity up to the passes, there is not much of a problem. Some of the areas which were lacking, we have addressed them. So that connectivity also we will have in times to come. We are also looking at connecting area of Ladakh to Himachal Pradesh. So there is a project which has been sanctioned for that. So we will have a connectivity even from the south. So that will be an additional connectivity which will in fact provide a strategic capability of sidestepping of forces, not only through the Leh and also looking at from the Himachal Pradesh. So that is the kind of versatility we are looking at as far as the infrastructure development is concerned. If one has to look at the area of middle sector based connectivity was weak. That also is being addressed in this Bharat Mala and Char Dham project. That is happening. And Lipu Lake connectivity in some form we have already achieved. In this, maybe in the few years' time, we will have a tunnel at Chia Lake, which will give us all-weather connectivity right up to Lipu Lake, which is not only important from a strategic, tactical, the operational perspective, but also has an implication for maybe subsequently Kailash Mansarovar Yatra. In Arunachal, a lot of work has been done. We have, in addition to the Trans-Arunachal Highway, there is a frontier highway which is connecting across the border almost about 1,700 kilometers of the length. 1,200 kilometers work has already been sanctioned. In fact, the work is almost any time the construction work on ground will start. Some of the areas in Arunachal Pradesh, we have the issues of the connectivity right up to the passes. That issue is also getting addressed. There are a number of, there are 3 railway projects which are strategic in nature, giving the connectivity in this area of Arunachal, that is going from Pasighat, going upwards to Rupai. There is a connectivity which is also coming up through Bilaspur, Mandi, and coming to Leh. These are the 2 important connectivities which will give us strategic mobility based on the railways. There are projects related to the aviation infrastructure. Aviation infrastructure we are looking at in a wholesome manner, so that the entire aviation project put together, we get a cabinet approval and put it through, so that huge money is available and the work is done in a very coordinated manner. To give you an example of the ECBI which I mentioned, this area of Sikkim, Glof, which was affected badly because of this glaciated lake outburst. We had a meeting taking place. All agencies were sitting down together. Cabinet secretary was chairing the meeting, and within no time we had the decision coming, and almost more than 6,000 crores rupees has been sanctioned for getting this connectivity along the Teesta River. We are not looking at connectivity only along the Teesta River because these mountains are young, likely to fall off. So we have gone even westwards to look at the kind of a robustness in this connectivity. Siliguri corridor is another area of concern in which we have, in fact, we had a very coordinated meeting on this issue, and almost about we have looked at expansion of the say NH17, converting this into a 4-lane highway, NH27 connectivity, another connectivity based on this in this area of Chicken Neck, so that you have a redundancy. And number of tunnels are being constructed in these areas, which will ensure that all weather, not all weather, in fact, it will be a dual use kind of a connectivity, dual use infrastructure will be there. So not only maybe roads are taken care of, even our strategic assets can be located in these areas. So that is the way we have looked at. If one has to, kind of summarize, just to give you an assurance to this audience, firstly, there is a whole of nation approach. All our concerns related to the infrastructure development are being looked at. We are not facing any problem related to the budget. It is only the construction capability which we are looking at enhancing, so that in shorter time frame, in say a time frame up to about 2030, we should have all the connectivity which is desired to support our operations in place. So I think that's all for such a short time. Talking about 3,488 kilometers of borders in 15 minutes, it is not so easy.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.